Welcome to Creative Cooking. Today I'm going to share with you a very special recipe for fresh cod with an exceptional cream reduction sauce. You'll never think of baked fish the same way after you see this video, so let's get started. Here I have just under 2 pounds of wild caught cod from the local market. These are called cod loins because they're cut from the thickest part of the fish. After you've rinsed with cold water and patted dry with a paper towel, arrange them in a baking dish and season with some kosher salt. Then coat with olive oil or use clarified butter. I think the clarified butter might actually be your best option, but this is olive oil. I'm used to cooking with it. Anybody who watches my show knows that. And just go ahead and flip that fish around in the dish until everything is evenly coated with the oil. And then just set that aside, because the next thing you want to do is to prepare a crumb topping using either plain breadcrumbs or finely crushed crackers, seasoned with a teaspoon of paprika. So all you need to do is just melt the butter in a small pan. And remember, you don't want to toast these. You just want to move them around in the butter, let them absorb the butter. So once you put them in the pan, just turn the heat off and stir them around until the breadcrumbs have completely absorbed all the butter and take on a sort of a wet sand consistency. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you do it. Then you'll want to top the fish with the breadcrumb topping. And just remember that it's the cream sauce that's the star of the show here, not the breadcrumbs. And the purpose of the breadcrumbs is to prevent the fish from drying out. So just spread it around with your fingers and let some of it fall down into the pan, because the juices from the fish and the oil and the seasonings will actually create a sauce of its own in the bottom of the pan. So once that's done, place in the center of a 375-degree oven for 25 minutes. While the fish is cooking, we'll prepare the sauce by melting 2 tablespoons of butter and adding 1 medium shallot that has been chopped or minced. The size isn't terribly important because we will be straining them out at the end. So go ahead and saute these onions for about 2 minutes, or until they become translucent. And once they reach that stage, go ahead and add 1/4 cup of white wine. And if you have any dry sherry laying around the house, I would recommend that you add 1 to 2 tablespoons of the dry sherry to this mixture. Then bring this back up to a simmer and allow that to reduce until most of the liquid has been evaporated. At that point, you're ready to add the cream. See how it's starting to thicken on its own? So go ahead, add 1 cup of heavy cream and give it a stir. Next, add a pinch of nutmeg, but be careful, don't use too much, just a little bit. And a couple of twists of fresh ground black pepper. And just in case you're wondering, the black pepper will disappear in the cream because it's so thick. But if you are concerned about it, go ahead and use white pepper. Give that a good mix, bring it back to temperature, and then reduce the heat. And what we're trying to do here is to thicken the cream. It will naturally thicken just by way of being heated. And if it needs a little bit of salt, go ahead and add it in. Mine needed it, even though I used salted butter. Next, we'll want to strain out that cream sauce, strain the shallots out of the sauce because they've already given up their flavor. We want a smooth, creamy sauce. We want something with no lumps. So use a spoon and just agitate the sauce until all of the cream runs out. And just discard the shallots. When you're done, you'll have a sauce that has this beautiful, rich, smooth silkiness to it. Next, you can add a little bit of fresh lemon juice to the pan now that the fish is cooked. Take some of the sauce, place it on a warmed plate, and take a nice portion of the fish and put it directly over that sauce. Arrange a plate with your vegetable of choice. I'm using green beans here, but asparagus works very well with fish as well. Just try to avoid anything like broccoli, which is very, very strong. We don't want any competition, right? And these are garlic mashed potatoes. And if you don't know how to make those, I'll give you a recipe on how to do that too. And then you just want to put just enough sauce over the fish. You don't want to drown it. You want to see some of those crumbs shine through. And put some of that sauce on your vegetables, because you would be surprised how good that is with those green beans. And there you have it, folks. This is a restaurant quality meal that you can prepare in about 40 minutes, and your family will be pleased. So don't forget to join us next week for another great video made for people who like to cook. Until then, bon appetit.